Hello everyone, welcome to Time to Die with Rob, otherwise known as Cass's Kitchen. They're all out of order now, so it doesn't really matter what number it'll be, you'll just have to look at the video. I'm calling this one Time to Die because I've gotten my hands on some Carolina Reaper peppers, whole ones. So I'm going to do a chunk of things with them kind of all at once. We will see kind of where we go. I haven't used all the peppers yet. I am saving one for planting, and then I have at least one more that I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with. But otherwise, I am doing a three-prong attack with the peppers, though one of them will be kind of take approximately the same steps for it. Right now, I have some water on the stove that is slowly starting to boil. Once that gets done, it's about a cup. Once that gets warmed up, I got about a quarter cup of white vinegar in here. And then there'll be a tablespoon of salt that goes in once the water actually starts to boil. I am going to pickle 2 peppers. One just to pickle in general, and the other I intend to use on making a hot sauce with. In front of me, there's the equivalent of, I think it's five peppers. Again, 2 I've left whole. 3 I have chopped into strips. These I intend to dry out and hopefully make red pepper flakes. And I also have 2 large cloves of garlic I'm going to stuff the pickled peppers in. And the sound we hear now is, well, at least I can hear it, is our water. So let's go take care of that right now. Alright, we are backish. Now is about the time for me to touch some peppers again. We want to make sure we are taking the appropriate protective measures because the Carolina Reapers, depending on which source you read, is the hottest pepper known to man. Of course, these things change all the time, but, you know, I've played with ghost pepper before, and that hurt like a mo. I mean, I didn't get it on my skin, but I put one in my mouth, not a whole one, just a bit that was about the size of my fingernail, maybe even half that, and it burned like a mo. So we're not going to try to repeat anything like that. But the 2 things I'm going to do, I am going to touch the peppers here, wipe the sweat from my brow, not using my hands just in case, as I push my glasses up. Haven't touched the peppers yet because you watched me put my gloves on. So the water is cooling off, so it's safe to put in my jar. So I have just a regular mason jar. I have the garlic, which I'm going to pop it just in the pepper, drop it in. Again, garlic, pepper, drop it in. I've saved some seeds, give them to friends. I don't know, I'm a sadistic bastard. And then last but not least, on some parchment paper, I have the pepper slices, which is slightly off camera, but I'm not doing this again because safety precautions, and I've already done horrible things to myself in the process. So I'm spreading them out, and kind of once I get them sufficiently so they're not really touching each other. The Reaper is surprisingly wet. That is the one thing that has amazed me so far, is how wet they are inside. There's like no meat, they're all just skin and heat and seeds. But yeah, so spreading them out. I'm going to take this to the sink right away so they don't contaminate anything else on my table. And of course, by my table, I mean my girlfriend's island. Also, don't tell her I have these. She'll find out soon enough. Also, if you happen to be that person, I didn't actually buy a bunch of Carolina Reapers, and I have not proceeded to use them irresponsibly. But anyway, so we are going to take the gloves off using hopefully proper medical procedure. Nurses can yell at me. I'm going to ditch these. I'm going to wash my hands before I even turn off the camera. So, internet magic! As you can see, the water is coming up to a rolling boil. Here is my tablespoon of salt. Pour that in. I'm not going to stir with that, of course, because metal on metal is bad, but I just want to wash the spoon off, and we're going to kind of stir in the water, stir the salt into the water. Haha, ho ho hee hee. And now we are going to add the vinegar. We're going to let that come back to a boil for a moment. Meanwhile, we are going to turn the oven on to its lowest setting. That's about 200 on here. That'll get this warmed up, and we can begin the process of drying out the pepper. That part will take for bloody ever. It's kind of going to be an all-day thing, so we'll see if I remember to actually film me finding that out. So yeah, let's kind of move on to our next step. There is our peppers. I should have done all this, pre-whatnot. Kind of our funnel measuring cup in there. And we are just gonna carefully pour that in. I'm looking at the wrong thing, so, my camera work is terrible. So, bam. There is that. I'm going to let that sit there because I still don't trust to touch it. Next, I'm going to open that up. We're going to slide that in. And then we're just going to let that cook for hours and hours at a time. So, I will see you guys on the flip side. Hello, everyone. Just a quick aside. I was going to originally plan on doing a Jackass-esque stunt involving the Reapers. But I have chosen that discretion is the better part of valor. Mostly because real life is more jackassy, per se. In the process of getting things cleaned up, I managed to rub my right eye. Well, not the eye itself, but the eyebrow here. And evidently didn't wash all the oil off or got recontaminated. So I got Carolina Reaper oil above my eye. I'm naturally red and broke out anyway because summer and whatnot. But I just kind of want everyone to see kind of the difference. Like, see, I mean, I'm totally pink because probably high blood pressure and all that good stuff. But, though I will say, like, the breaking out up here, that's probably just acne. But yeah, it hurt. Probably not as much as eating it, ironically enough, because I did keep it out of the eyeball itself. But I ended up taking a cold shower afterwards to make sure I got all the oil off my skin. I'm still tingly now, and it's probably been at least 10-15 minutes since I doed it. So, I was going to hurt myself anyway. Might as well make it hilarious by making it an accident instead of doing it on purpose. There's my thumb. Thumbs up. Not exactly sure what you're doing in the fridge. But okay, who am I to judge, as long as you left my pickles alone? Anyway, it's been a handful of days since the Reaper experiments, and I've only been mildly maimed. That's, a surprise, because I kind of figured it was going to end up being totally maimed, and I was going to eat peppers, and then I was going to get beaten to death if I survived that. But after the mishap with half my face getting burned, I chose not to eat things directly, so maybe I learned my lesson, but probably not. But anyway, while we're in the fridge, we got our pickled Reapers going here. The garlic fell out of one of them. I have not tried any part of this yet. The water, garlic, pepper. So who knows how that's going to go. I'm going to let that go a little bit longer. I am, however, eventually going to take one of them and put it in the food processor with a little bit more vinegar and make that into hot sauce, Tabasco sauce, because actually it turned out quite well with the ghost peppers I experimented with a while ago, and it seems to keep rather well. Adds a little bit of heat to it. Almost just pure heat, not so much the flavor front, so I'm curious to see how that goes as well. But, you know, whatever. And also, here's some of the good stuff, too. Some dried flakes. I've been hand crushing them. Eventually, I might get them a bit smaller so they can fit through a couple of the shakers. Might put it through one of the grinders we have. Probably not, because that'll also get me beaten. So maybe I'll just take the rolling pin to out of the bag, too. So, anyway, that's where we're going with the pepper front. Hope you all had fun. Face seems to be doing a touch better. Don't seem to be, you know, outside of the acne that was there before. It didn't improve my skin tone getting burned, I will say. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Got some more lined up maybe if I stop being lazy. Thumbs up. Hey all, thanks for listening. Just wanted to give a brief moment to do shout outs and of course get some cheap plugs in. If you would like to support our little show here, the best way you can do that is obviously by listening, but also by liking and subscribing where available. And of course, you know, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, you know, anyone who's willing to listen to give the show, you know, a quick listen, because, you know, all that stuff helps indirectly promote the show and move us up the listings as well. If you would like to follow along on the social media digits, you can check out the MLW Confusion Facebook page, which is at MLW Confusion, no hyphen for that. And it just it keeps us up to date on when episodes drop and all that good stuff. If you'd also like to check out the other social medias, you can follow me on Twitter at the Nova of Cass, which is also the same as my Instagram, though neither of those things are mutually show exclusive, so, you know, enter at your own risk there. Proper spellings of all that stuff, of course, will be in the links, you know, in the description. Last but not least, if you want to help out monetarily, you can do that as well. Help me get some new and better equipment, move out of my mother's basement, etc., etc., etc. You can check things out at patreon.com/Cassanova. That's CASSONOVA, of course. We'll pop that down in the description as well. With that, all backers get early access to the show, ad-free even, and little whatever extras that I happen to, you know, pop up on week to week. There's usually some sort of, I call it a confusion exclusive, and the topics just range to whatever I feel like I'm interested in week to week, wrestling related and not, plus other just random goodies involved there. Tiers start at $1, and of course, you know, the higher you move up, the more and better goodies you may or may not receive, so check that out. And finally, you know, we're pretty cheap here on the show, so there are ample opportunity for advertising. So if you got a small business you want to promote, I'm more than willing to do it as well. Just, you know, hit me up on the DMs and whatnot, and, you know, we can talk. Meanwhile, before we go and, you know, looping back at the Patreon, you know, thank you to my backers/supporters, Alan Schroeder and Maverick45. You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. And, you know, check it out. Check them out. They are awesome as well and got their projects. And usually I'm plugging them on Twitter as well because they've been around since the beginning. But otherwise, that's all for this week. You know, thank you all for listening again, and hope to see you back next week.